Hello ladies and gentlemen, Spenny here, and thank you all so much for 75,000 subscribers. You are all the absolute best. Which means I have a Q&A video, questions provided by supporters on Patreon. And while there aren't as many questions as I anticipated, as you can tell from the length of this video, I have a few long answers which probably deserve their own individual video. The first one is from Bibs. One of the reasons I support you is that you're one of the few Australians who do these sorts of long form video game reviews. Thanks a lot, mate. I'm definitely not the only one and I'm not the best at it, but thanks. Do you find that living in a more isolated country like Australia has given you any extra challenges in, say, making it more difficult to gain access to certain video games or made it more expensive to obtain them? Has the relatively poor internet infrastructure hampered you in any way? Well, when it comes to video games, your 8, 16-bit, Nintendo 64, PS1 games, those eras are certainly a lot more expensive here in Australia compared to somewhere like America. For example, you'd be lucky to get a copy of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 on the PlayStation 1 for less than $40 here. Although I do have a few where I got a massive bargain. That's why I usually resort to the dedicated consoles like these, because I only want to play those games on here just so I can play them. Though, given the controversy of scalpers in the past, particularly with the NES Mini, I wouldn't be surprised if these become valuable later down the line as well. Fortunately, the type of games you request that I review, the racing and open world GTA clones, they're typically dirt cheap, especially at swap meets. So from a reviewer perspective, based on the games I look at, it's not an issue at all. And as for unobtainable games, yeah, Australia is more likely to ban and censor games compared to a lot of the rest of the world, especially before the R18+ rating was introduced in 2013. Like, I bought the 2011 Mortal Kombat as soon as the ban was lifted. The most notable example that I've been getting a lot of requests to review is Manhunt. I did see it once at a swap meet for the PlayStation 2, but it was way too expensive, presumably because of its legal status. It was released uncensored for 1 year, and there wouldn't be many lying around in this country. And the slow and limited internet is definitely one of the biggest reasons I didn't gain any interest in the combination of internet and video games. Like, I had zero interest in game reviews and Let's Plays on YouTube until 2013, when I was looking for as much news about Grand Theft Auto 5 before that came out. The fact that I started this channel less than a couple of years later is crazy, and when I eventually did, it would take ages to upload a review, sometimes 4 hours, and if I attempted to do so during the day, it would take twice as long. I'm not kidding. So I had to do it in the middle of the night, keep waking myself up to check how it's going. Things have improved over the years, but it's nothing compared to a lot of the rest of the world. And by this point, I don't bother with online multiplayer gaming because I'd rather use that time and energy to make these reviews. The next one is from Andy DM. What would be your perfect video game? Anything in which I have to force myself to stop playing while time just flew past my mind like I didn't know what happened. Like one more race or one more mission, a few more minutes on this map. Games like Burnout 3 Takedown, Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2, Mass Effect Trilogy, Gran Turismo 3, Metroid Prime, most of the Grand Theft Auto games. And it's impossible to pick one because there are so many, and are all near perfect, devoid of criticism for different reasons. It would be like saying that Metroid Prime is better than Burnout 3 Takedown. That doesn't make any sense. They're two of completely different genres. I mean, that is the best answer I can come up with for that question. There is no such thing as perfect, even personally. The next one is from Jerry Thomas. How did you come up with the name Color Shed? I just like to look at so many different vibrant colors at once, whether it's in art, video games like Need for Speed Underground, Okami, Doom, Borderlands, Super Mario series, Rainbow Road, and Mario Kart a particular inspiration, movies like Blade Runner, Avatar, or music like Muse, Dragon Force, Iron Maiden. You get the idea. My bedroom has 3 different colors on each side, and I've always color-coded everything I've done in life. It's such an easy and less time-consuming way of doing things, so I thought I'd incorporate it into the channel and logo. And from the start, I planned on having the foreground, intro, and outro colors based on the game I was reviewing, because no one else was doing it, and I thought it would add to the quality of the video. That strong, vibrant style, at least whenever the foreground borders are required, which I feel like has improved in detail over time. What is the timeline of your equipment you use for the channel? The first capture card I got was an Elgato Game Capture HD HD for Christmas in 2014, and it was a fantastic little thing, because it was able to record footage off every single console I had in my collection. It was so flexible and the quality wasn't too shabby once I unlocked its potential. But I say was because early 2019, while I was playing Scarface The World Is Yours, it stopped working. Like every time I plugged it in, it would glitch about after half a minute regardless of output. And because Elgato stopped making this type of card by then, I have to say I'm a bit pissed off by that. If anyone from Elgato is watching, please re-release this thing. Not every person in the world plays new games only. I rushed to find an alternative that could at least record footage for the PlayStation 2 and 3. So I got the AverMedia Live Gamer Portable, and I'm really hoping this doesn't break down later down the line either, because I think they also discontinued this model as well. Seriously, what is it with capture card companies throwing away consideration for older consoles? Anyway, that's not it. In late 2017, I also bought an Elgato HD60 Pro, which you install into the hardware of your PC, which I use primarily for the PC, Xbox 360 and PlayStation 4 at 1080p and 60 frames per second. The Xbox One or Nintendo Switch? I don't have those yet. Now this setup means I can't record footage off any of my Nintendo consoles or Sega Mega Drive, because composite is the best I can get out of those systems, for now anyway. Fortunately, the games I review usually don't require those systems, but I am hoping to come up with a high quality HD setup for every single one of these systems. I guess that's another hiccup with reviewing games down under. Power region and region locking makes things complicated, particularly with 6th generation hardware. And as for editing software, the first half year of 2015 was as basic can be. Windows Movie Maker. Now keep in mind, it was the first year where I thought I'd try it a few times and see where I go from there. I never thought it would reach a year, let alone doing a Q&A after reaching 75,000 subscribers. But after a few videos including Sonic the Hedgehog, Mad World, Rogue Warrior, Tourist Trophy, I knew that what I had was clearly never gonna cut it. And I wanted something that can at least make an image appear like this while video is playing in the background. You can only do that with text in Windows Movie Maker, and anything else I would do my best with PowerPoint. So I got Sony Vegas Movie Studio at the end of the year, and I'm still surprisingly using it today. Though I did briefly trial with Adobe Creative Cloud, which I used to rebrand the entire channel and edit the Need for Speed Most Wanted review, which is why it's not as polished compared to Carbon, for example. There was so much menu navigation to understand, and my PC wasn't powerful enough to comprehend such a complicated project. Like, it would take 2 minutes just to open it, and between 30 to 90 seconds whenever I added a transition or effect. It was hell. And it took a week longer to make than it should have, but at least it has a lot of views and people like it, so maybe it was all worth it. But since I got a new PC last year, there is a good chance that I'll go back to the Adobe software in the future, seeing that's what a lot of the pros use, and that's where I want to be as well. And the last question, what is your favorite review from the channel so far? The one you're most pleased with? Oh, wow. There are a lot of contenders that are among my favorites for different reasons. Okay, the honorable mentions. The 3 that were the most fun to research were the original Doom. I thought the transition to 3D on PC was very fascinating. The PlayStation existing because Sony was stabbed in the back by Nintendo over a CD add-on for the Super NES, which motivated them to become who they are today. And Fable Lost Chapters is another one where I was surprised by how much history there was behind the game. Now, my favorites in terms of editing, effects, transitions would be my review of Criterion first-person shooter Black. How the first half removed some of the picture color but not too much, slowly turning back to normal just before I finally talk about the gameplay, adding glow and glitchy effects to make it look more old-fashioned. There was a brief period where I used a radio sound filter that sounded like this when in game. It was the first review where I really tried to make the video look and feel exactly like the game itself. I realized these reviews were perfect opportunities to try new editing techniques, because a lot of video games are different. Same with the review of the original Resident Evil. The text was Times New Roman and pixelated to appear exactly like the text in game. The Biohazard logo slowly appearing in the background like the Aliens intro. The use of the game's music precisely chosen based on what I was talking about at that moment. And parodying the game's dialogue using echo effects to illustrate the poor sound quality. Just so many little details that I take huge pride in, even if the final product might not get as many views than a Rockstar game review. But speaking of Rockstar, loser, we get to the winners. And my two all-time favorites that I can't split for two completely different reasons, Red Dead Redemption 2 and Grand Theft Auto 4. With RDR2, I took that mentality from the reviewer Black by trying to make the video look and feel like the game itself. So knowing it was gonna take a long time, I used every single trick I learned over the years to make the best video possible. I was also going to explain the details I put into this one, but there were too many to point out, and even saying that feels like I'm bragging. But point is, there's a reason it took 6 weeks. That's why I ignored requests to review Red Dead Redemption 2 when it came out. There was no question I was going to review it, I just didn't want to release something on the day the game came out to chase views. I wanted it to be the best video about Red Dead Redemption 2 in terms of analysis, the history behind it, how it came to be, the good, the bad, the ugly, why it's a masterpiece. I'm not saying it is the best video, just the best to my ability, something where I can look fondly on years later. That is why it's my favorite. Not just because it's one of the best games of the decade, but making a video about it took my creative ability to the max, and is my current showcase of what Colorshed Productions is about. And the other favorite is another Rockstar game, Grand Theft Auto 4. At the time of making this review, I was also working a full-time university internship, literally 40 hours a week, on top of the uni assignments based on said internship, including a final report with a word count that could rival scripts for GTA 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2, a 30-minute presentation, I had to travel to the city a few times so my progress at work was checked on. All of that alone was hard work. So imagine trying to cram making game reviews at the same time. If you tuned into everything I made in 2018, you'll notice that I only released a video every 3 to 5 weeks. Well, that's why. I could not have made them any faster. But the peak of burnout and stress was when a lot of those uni assignments were due, and I was in the middle of making the Grand Theft Auto 4 review when for about a month, I only slept around 3 to 5 hours a day just to make as much time as possible for both sides of work. And when the day finally came to press the publish button in the video settings, I was in tears and dancing around like I just won the F1 Drivers' Championship. And furthermore, to see it with the views it's got now in contrast to what I normally get out of these videos, that is the best feeling I got of hard work paying off. I was prepared to talk about this story during the GTA 4 gameplay commentary series that's currently ongoing, but I guess this question from Jerry Thomas warrants a story like that. And in hindsight, had my channel not break out at the beginning of 2018 like it did, I would have taken at least a month off after the GTA 4 review. And that's all the questions answered. Again, thank you all so much for 75,000 subscribers and counting. I am beyond grateful. The next few reviews I'm currently working on include Halo Combat Evolved, Mafia 2, Rockstar's Table Tennis, Project Gotham Racing 4, and Forza Horizon, to name a few, as well as the aforementioned gameplay commentary of Grand Theft Auto 4. So stay tuned because I'm having a lot of fun with these games. Thank you all so much for continuing to do so all these years, and speak to you soon.